Good morning, everyone. This is Jennifer Sanchez. You are watching the Wise Morning Coffee Chat Show. So it's Monday. It's hopefully the weather's not bad over here in the Midwest, all the rain. But so who am I? I'm the founder of the Women's Institute of Self-Development Efficacy, WISE for short. This is our Wise Morning Coffee Chat Show where we do a lot of inspiration, conversation, and motivation. And the whole goal of the show is really to gather with women, highlight amazing women that are doing amazing things, especially women that are in our community or around our community, and really just get the stories. Every time you meet an entrepreneur, you're like, let's go get a cup of coffee. Well, let's do this in a show format. That's kind
Mm.
of the premise around this. So that's who I am. Can you introduce yourself, Tiana?
Yes, hi. My name is Tiana Juarez. Some may know me as Tia. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Nice, nice. So I know that you got some stuff going on, right, girlfriend? So we'll talk about that later, but um yeah, it's been a while since I've seen you, right?
Yes, it's been a minute. I went on vacation to Mexico for about 2.5 months. Praise God.
Oh wow. Oh wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. So
Yeah.
for those that are watching, actually me and Tiana, we met, oh man, I've heard of you in the business world over here. I always heard of your name. I heard of a woman named Tia,
Mhm.
and but sometimes people would say like Tia. So then I was like, there's someone in the business world that calls himself Tia. So I'm like, who is this chick, right? And this is when I worked in the nonprofit in 2016, 2015. I heard of your name, but I didn't know you. I just knew someone by the name of Tia that worked out in Aurora. That's all I knew.
Mm.
Um, and then finally, I think I finally met you maybe in 2017, was it? Maybe
Mhm.
2018 was when I officially met you.
2018. That's right. We did another interview through your podcast.
Yeah, yeah. When I had the show at the other place, I had the on-site show. Yeah, yeah, I
Mhm.
remember. But you were doing what were you doing during that time? You were working for the nonprofit world too, right?
Yes. So at that time, I was working at the Women's Business Development Center. So we
Mm,
focused on helping women start and grow their business. And
nice.
so from there, I worked there for about 5 years.
Okay.
And then after that, I got sick and I took some time off. And I don't know if you want me to share part of that journey. Um,
Yes, I do right now. We could share it afterwards after we do coffee time. I just wanted to give folks an idea of how we know each other,
mhm.
and how we gathered because I just know like no one's gonna forget a nickname like Dia. Like right. So yeah, so that's how we met. So for those that are watching or catching the replay, make sure that you share where you're watching from. And then of course we got to share coffee time before we go into the story. I do want you to go into your story, but the whole premise is what are you drinking this morning? So what are you drinking, uh Tiana?
So I am actually drinking Irish breakfast tea. So I'm
Irish.
really working on not drinking coffee because I think I drink a little too much
um,
coffee. Um,
mm,
so I switched over to some black tea with some creamer to add a little sweetness.
mm.
Um, and then I always have a glass of water when I wake up.
Nice.
Gotta
Yeah.
hydrate.
Oh, nice. Nice, nice, nice. That's
Mhm,
awesome. So I've heard of people put milk in their tea and creamers in their tea, and I never tried it.
mhm.
I've never tried it. I think maybe I'm gonna attempt it. Especially I know um like Southeast Asians, I know that they put like milk in their black tea and stuff like that. I don't know. I've never tried it.
Oh, and there's so many different flavors of tea. And, like,
Yeah.
milk gives it just, like, that creamier texture, and somebody's
Nice.
not drinking anything right now. Uh, they're like, "Can't wait to get up
But
and
my
drink something."
but my saliva. Uh, well, I'm glad that you're drinking something this morning. So me, I have, my ladies are limitless coffee, but what I'm drinking, which for those that are watching are gonna watch the replay, I grinded my own coffee beans
Mm,
last night, not this morning. I'm not gonna say I did them. I'm not gonna say I did it this morning because people, my kids will wake up. But so over the summer, and I don't know if Mary's ever gonna watch this. We went to a run through stay. I think the sponsor was Stan's Donuts. Okay,
mm.
and they were selling coffee, and I'm like, oh, coffee. I'm gonna buy myself some coffee, right? Well, I didn't realize I just bought coffee beans. Like I bought the dang coffee and it was coffee beans. I'm like, what am I gonna do with these dang coffee beans? I can't go back to the race and like give them back, get the money back. I didn't realize till I got home. So then finally I was like, okay, I know there was a woman in my community that used to grind her coffee before she made it. So I said, let me find a coffee grinder. Okay, so this is my ADHD brain, right? Now getting obsessed with like coffee grinders and stuff like that.
Mm,
Finally got one. My husband bought it for me, and then I grinded. Finally, this was over the summer. Now, finally, almost how many months later, I finally opened up the package, put in the beans, and grinded. Did that with the coffee, and it was good. It smelled good. It smelled like
mhm.
I was like, oh, I could see why people. So I kind of feel like I'm in the elitist area now. Like when it comes to making coffee, I feel like I could say I grind coffee now.
You're, like, in the coffee aficionado group now.
Yeah, yeah, I could say that.
Yeah.
Like, do I have to take a course or something now? Like, to make it official? Like, what do I do to be like put that title under my name?
So the absolute best thing I love is those and coffee percolators. The
Mm,
little ones that, what is it, Cubanos use to make their coffee. Oh, that is the best. But now that
mm.
I kind of, slowing down on coffee, I'm like, "Wah, wah, wah."
I know. I have people here making fun of me. So we have she's Liza said going to try tea too. Yeah, teas are good. I like matcha tea. Liza has a grinder too, so she's in that elitist group too with me. I don't know if she actually grinds her coffee. Uh La Mera, she said so gourmet. um yeah, so that was a fun story I wanted to share today. So I grinded coffee. I actually wanted to try, like, I'm like I should buy a new machine, something to make those little espresso shots, or
Mm,
I've seen like the cubanitos and stuff. Actually, me and Liza, who's watching right now, we went to a Cuban shop and a Cuban restaurant a couple months ago, and I remember just getting the coffee, and I was like, I want to try a cubanito. I think that's what they call them, right?
mhm.
Cubanitos. And I was like, I want to try it. And it came out, and I was like, what's this baby ass thing gonna do right now to me? Like, this is so small.
You're like, "It could be dangerous."
Oh
Be
man, but yes,
bouncing off the walls.
theirs wasn't that strong because I was like, I'm all right. I was expecting to be like, but it wasn't. I was good. I was good. Maybe I drink too much coffee. That's a sign. All right. So I see ladies ask any questions. Let us know what you're drinking. So let's go into your story, Tiana. I know that when I met you, you were not as faith-based, I want to say, right? I
Mhm,
think you were still like I heard you say I remember something about medical. I didn't know 100% exactly what you were going through, but I do remember you came out and you were talking about business stuff because I think at that time you were still more, oh, and you still are, but you know what I mean, like you were
mhm.
emphasizing more on business activities you were doing. So take me back to, the how it all started with what you're doing now.
Yes. So, I've always had a passion for business. That's always been in my blood, entrepreneurship. My family actually owned a small business as well. Um, and so a lot of my jobs included something in the area of entrepreneurship. And I love to share my knowledge. And so the job that I had at the time when we met did those two things, which was perfect. I absolutely loved it. Um, but then in 2015, I received a cancer diagnosis. I was at stage 2 lymphoma cancer. And at that time, I had new age beliefs. And, I was like, nope, I'm not doing chemo. And I honestly felt like chemo was going to kill me. And
Mm,
so I leaned on my own understanding to
mhm,
try to heal myself. And for 5 years, I basically tried different modalities, really delved into new age practices. Um, and then
mm,
actually something that's really funny, that day when we met at the interview, um, I was feeling very hopeless because it had already
mm,
been a couple of years and things weren't working. And I remember coming back from that interview and somebody who I follow or who I followed before had she was like this new age guru. And I saw this video pop up that she had converted to Christianity, and that just totally shook my entire foundation. I was like, wait, what? Um, but that wasn't one of the reasons why I got so much into my faith. So fast forward into 2020, I'm feeling hopeless. I'm broken. I'm kind of like, you know what? I don't know what I'm gonna do. And
mm,
and a girlfriend of mine invited me to church to an event. And I
mm,
remember that I couldn't even walk and breathe at the same time, girlfriend. Like, it was that
mm,
bad. I had bulges on my neck. I was yeah, I was not I was not doing good. And so I arrived at this church and I remember saying like, "God, please give me, a parking spot close to the entrance because I can't walk." And
mm,
it was winter and I remember this because I was wearing a wool coat and it was pretty heavy. And and I remember sitting, at the steering wheel and I was like, maybe I should just take a nap, and I'll tell my friend I'm here, and just wait till she comes out of church because I was so exhausted from the trip. And
oh,
so, but then something in me told me, like, no, you need to get up and you need to go in there. Like, you need to receive a message from God because
mm,
we are not in a good place. And
mm,
so, like, I mustered up the energy to walk to the front door, which wasn't that far. But for me at the time, like, as soon as I arrived, I was just like out of breath. And then on top of that, I had like this coat that was probably like 20 pounds. Um, and then I get to the
mm,
doors and I can't open these doors. And I'm just like, oh, like every little thing that could happen that day happened.
oh,
And I'm looking for somebody, inside to open this door for me. And it's not like it was closed or anything. It's just I couldn't open it because I didn't have the strength to open it.
wow,
And finally I was like, okay, I'm catching my breath and trying to do as much as possible to get inside. And finally I got the idea is like, okay, let's open this handicap, push the handicap button to open the door. And finally, I was able to get inside. Praise God. But I remember finally getting in and getting a seat up in the front because I couldn't go any further. And the preacher at the moment, he was, he gave the message of don't give up. You got to keep moving forward.
Mhm.
And it was like, okay, this is confirmation because I was practically like, this is it. I'm done. Like, and and so after the service, there was this old couple that prayed over me, and I remember just falling to my knees and just like, God, take over, cuz what I was doing was not working, and I'm practically like feeling like I'm at the end, like this is it. And
Mm.
so then the next day, I ended up going into the hospital for something else. I had a different pain, and they kept me at the hospital for about 2 weeks. But that day when I arrived,
Mhm.
uh, I remember my girlfriend told me, she's like, the nurse came over and was just like pale and said, like, if she wouldn't have gotten in today, like she wouldn't have been here tomorrow.
Oh,
Like
wow.
she's walking dead. Like her blood is she doesn't have enough blood to function. Like I don't know how she's functioning. And I didn't hear this until afterwards. But so then they kept me in the hospital and they're like, you can't leave, like you have to decide, you have to do treatment because you're not going to last another month like this. Now,
Wow.
mind you, in my mind, I'm like, chemo's the devil. I can't do it. And by this
Mhm.
point, the doctors are telling me, you're at stage 4 now. Like you're way advanced now. Like,
Mhm.
and at this point, if you do treatment, you'll only have a 20% chance to live after treatment.
Wow.
So I fought the doctors with my stubbornness, again, leaning on my own understanding, right? And and I had a best friend gather a group of friends, and they came to visit me, and that just lifted up my spirits. And they prayed over me and asked me, you know, do you want to live or do you want to rest? And I was like, no, I want to live. And so from that moment, God spoke to me and I surrendered over to him. And I was just like, okay, like, if this is your will, if I'm meant to live, like, I'm letting you take over. And,
Mhm.
uh, and from that moment, I let the doctors do what they needed to do.
Mhm.
The protocol was 8 sessions. Now,
Mhm.
keep in mind, they said 20% chance that this was gonna function because I was so advanced. Well, by the second session of chemo, I was already
Mhm.
50% healed. And
Mm.
so I was like, wow. And during this time, I felt God's presence. Like I
Mm.
was going through pain, but
Mhm.
I also
Mhm.
felt like I was in this bubble, like this bubble of
Mhm.
love, and just it kept my spirits up. And I'm sure you saw, like, when I was going through it, I was doing Facebook Lives sharing about my experience as I was going through it, some of the
Mhm.
things that I was feeling, and that inspired a lot of people. I remember somebody sent me a message and said, their daughter was going through chemo as well, and
Mm.
and she showed her my video and it inspired her to keep going, keep going.
Wow.
And so throughout all that process and my journey through it, God placed on my heart to create a platform where I could share God's miracles and inspire and uplift other
Mm.
women to spread hope to those that are going through dark times, because we've all been through a dark time, right? And sometimes we feel like we're on our own, like nobody can understand us, we can't relate, and
Yeah.
we isolate. And I did that quite a bit
Mhm.
when I was, before I started my treatment and I was on my own. Like I isolated a lot. A lot of people didn't know that I had cancer. And when we spoke before this, like you even mentioned that too. You're like, I didn't even know. And it's because I was functioning like everybody else. It's like on the outside you don't see it unless there's like a physical thing going on. But on the inside, it's a whole nother story, right? And
Mm.
so that's where I started Purpose and Grace. And I've
Yeah.
done one of my signature events is called the I Am Blessed Tour. And
Mhm.
the first event that we had, and I believe you attended, um, was in December of last year. And
Mhm.
we had almost 100 women register. And that was just
Mhm.
like amazing, and it shows of, it's proof that as women we need that. We need that community, as you mentioned before. We need that community. We need
Mhm.
to be inspired. We
Mhm.
all have a purpose to fulfill, and sometimes our cup runs empty, right?
Mhm.
And so part of what my purpose is to share those testimonies to help inspire these women. Um,
Mhm.
and so we have another one coming up. That one is going
Mhm.
to be on May 21st. And we're going to have Jennifer share her testimony as well. So we're super excited.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
but in between the tour events, we have Blessed Socials, which is an event just to connect and mingle, especially now that the mask mandate is taken off. And it's completely fine if you want to wear a mask, because I do it as well. But I feel like we really need that human interaction, and
Yeah. Mhm.
so we'll be having the Blessed Social in Naperville this Friday at 7 p.m. So if anybody is looking to connect and mingle and just have a good time, we're going to have some fun giveaways. Come out, and the location is a super cute cafe. It's picture worthy. So I'm so excited
Mhm.
about that. And so for the first 20 women that register, we're going to have goodie bags for them. So I'm
Oh,
excited. I
nice.
invite y'all to join us. And yeah.
That's awesome. That's so
Mhm.
cool. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what God does because I did with your last event that you had. I don't think I was watching it live while you guys were doing. I did the replay. I did the
Mm,
replay. And I was watching the replay and all great messages and testimonies. And I personally know Jennifer Reyes, so I also wanted to watch because I think the day that we did the other interview, she was there with you, right?
mhm.
Remember, she was on the both of you guys were there. So it was just a great story to share and give encouragement to other ladies because it's needed. It is. Community is needed, um, especially to uplift one another, especially during these times. I totally can understand why you're doing what you're doing. So kudos to you for following and being obedient to God's calling in your life. And I do see Lamera asked a question. She said, "Is there a reason why are you cutting back on coffee? I am in the I drink too much cafe cereal group."
Me too, girlfriend. Me too. That's exactly why. Because it's, you know, coffee, because it has caffeine in it and I drink so much of it, it can be dehydrating, and I don't drink enough water. So that's why I'm kind of cutting back. I mean, tea does have caffeine, but I feel like it's not as much. So I'm like
Definitely. Yeah.
slowly weaning myself off of that. And I really don't need caffeine in the morning. Like, there's a lot of people that say, like, I absolutely need my first cup of coffee before I even function. I really don't. Like, I'm good. Once I'm up and going, like, I'm good. It's just having that warm, you know, cup in the morning, and it just, yeah. So,
It
I
feels
think
like,
that's more
yeah.
like, and I love the flavor of coffee too, so it's just, and I can imagine, like, grinding it in the morning, and it's just like, oh, the smell, you know?
Yeah, the smell, the flavor,
Mhm.
to me, it's more of just exactly like the feelings behind it, why I
Yep.
personally do the coffee thing. Yeah, too much caffeine is bad, and yes, there's a lot of acidity in it, and, they say don't drink coffee for health purposes. I think one a day, you're good, right? One a
Mhm.
day, because there's a lot of health benefits, but if you drink too much, yeah, it could go the other way real quickly.
Yeah.
So I understand the whole like people might not need it. For me, yeah, it's an experience, I think, for me, more so than the need. And but no, I'll take that back. When I'm training for the marathon, I need coffee. There's no doubt about it. I ain't even gonna lie. When you're training and you're like almost dead, not dead, but your body is just so tired because you're
Mhm.
running 13, 14, 15, 16 miles. There's no way, runners love coffee because of just how much energy you put out there on pavement. So
Mm.
definitely. And I'm going to start training soon. So keep an eye out on my post on that. So I know I keep saying I gotta train. And yesterday Mary's like, you keep saying you gotta train, but you're not training. I'm like, oh my God, Mary's another woman in my community. A lot of women know. I was like, oh, you're right. I know I keep saying it and I keep not doing it. Let me do it. Get my butt out there. Um, but yeah, and that what I really like about your story, and I'll be really, because me, I don't ever, this platform, even, I'm faith based. People know I'm faith based. And I always say that in anything that I ever do, if you come around me, you will hear God, you will hear me, pray, you will hear me offer prayer, you will hear me offer things because I'm more of that, business entrepreneur. I'm starting to embrace this term of a market minister, right? So, but it's not Christian based per se because we have gotten a lot of women that come into our community and their life they've accepted God, their life has turned around, which for me, that's evangelism is a big deal for me, right? So, and lately, I'll be really transparent because I'm always talking about God and I say I'm spiritual, I am religious, right? Because religion is what killed Jesus. I'm spiritual. So I'm always talking about God. And I've had women who are very big into new age
Mm.
come come hang, come trying to hang out. And I have no issue as long as we understand where the source is, as long as we're
Mhm.
on the same page as far as the source. Now, you want to bring a pretty rock around me? I'm good with that. Like, okay, like, it's cool, got energy. I'm good with that. Want to send positive energy my way? I'm good with that. But as long as the source for me is what's the big deal, right? Who
Mm.
it's not us, it's Jesus that's doing everything. And the kicker is Jesus when you say his name, right? And I know you understand what I'm saying because I'm kind of like coming across lately this new age faith is being spoken a lot more lately. And I'm like, okay, well then I always say, I welcome everybody into the community as long as you're comfortable with me talking about Jesus and God, and we're both on the same page. Then I'm good. We're good. So I don't know if you, from your experience, because you were in New Age
Mhm.
religion, what if someone is in that place right now that's watching? Like the difference. Why did you switch over from New Age to Christianity? Are you non-denomination? Would you consider yourself
No. So just, I would say just a believer.
a believer?
I'm
Okay.
a, yeah. So it's funny that you asked that, because before I couldn't even say the name Jesus. Like, it it
Mm.
disturbed me. The word could not come out of my mouth. And
Mm.
when I finally surrendered to God, right? Jesus was the one that I felt, and I knew, like, Jesus did this for me. Like I was very deep in New Age. And the thing is that Jesus spoke to those that needed God's love, right? And so it's not about preaching to the choir, right? It's about preaching to those that don't have that inner peace. And for me, Jesus
Mhm.
filled that void for me. And
Mhm.
and with the new age practices, I mean, I leaned on that to heal me, and it just led me into, like, a deeper hole. Like, there were just other things that kept coming up, and it led me to more confusion, and now looking back, I can see that, now looking back.
Mhm.
Um, but, we just have to love on people, and
Mhm.
we just have to hope that that he will do the work. We
Mhm.
just plant that seed, and we pray that through our actions and through our walk with Christ, people can see
Mhm.
him, right?
Amen.
Um, and I've had now we're getting on, like, fine line conversations, but, but, I have friends that are very deep into that, and I can see, how they're looking for that peace. They don't have that peace,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
having Jesus in your life, it makes life look so different. And it's not that we don't go through trials or we don't go through problems. No, but our perspective is very different, you know? And through Christ's blood, I was healed, and I'm a living testimony. And there is nothing else that I feel like deep within my soul that did that for me. And like I said, I couldn't even pronounce the name Jesus. Like, I would go to church,
Mhm.
and I still couldn't do it. But it wasn't until that moment when I surrendered, it was like, that was Jesus. Jesus did this for me, and it's just,
Mhm.
I want to share this peace with other people. I want them to
Mhm.
feel this, and I'm not about pushing my beliefs on you, but I'm
Mhm.
definitely gonna share that Jesus did this for me, because
Mhm.
I'm living testimony of it.
Yeah.
Because how do you go from 20% chance after treatment, and at the second session, you're already 50% healed? I mean, that's it even, like, threw off my oncologist, because he's been doing that for 30 years, and he was just, like,
Mhm.
blown, and he was
Mm.
fronting, like he wanted to play it off, but how do you explain that? How do you explain
That's
that?
amazing. That's amazing. I wonder how many doctors have come to Christ from just these miraculous situations that cannot be explained through
Mhm,
science, right? I love science. I love, like, yeah, science, there's a reason why they're scientists and why we do research. I get it. But when your life is so dependent on science and medical, and then all of a sudden you hear a story like yours, I can only imagine how that rocks people's worlds for real.
mhm.
That's exciting.
Yeah, exactly, exactly,
It's
exactly.
exciting. And that's what we should do. We should praise. Like, we should be happy and thank God that your story is doing what it's doing. And I thank you for being in the trenches, because similar to you, it's all about just sharing our story. How God's changed my life, how God's changed your life, how God's helped you, how God's helped me. And that's really what it is. That's all that it's about. And then from there, continue to help other women to do the same, offer that opportunity to, like, meet who he really is and what he can do for them. And if they don't want it, well, then God bless you. It is what it is. You can't force anybody to do anything they don't want to do, which
Mhm,
I don't know about you, but I've come across that too. And it's like, well, just wanted to make that offer.
And so this is something that I was reading on, and it makes perfect sense. So like with new age stuff, right? When I was practicing it, for me it was all about instant gratification, right? I'm going to manifest this. I'm going to attract this. And it was like, "Oh, it happened. This is awesome." So it made me believe it even more, right? But
Mm,
part of the real reward is going through the journey, the delayed gratification, right?
mhm,
It's the journey that's going to make us stronger. And maybe we don't get what we want right away, but what we learn through the process is going to take us to a whole nother level that we could never even imagine versus
mhm,
getting what we want at that moment, right? And
mhm,
I feel like God allows us to go through these processes. He knows
mhm,
what we need to go through. He allows these
mhm,
things to happen because he's sharpening us, right? He's making us stronger. He's shaping us into the women that we are, right? The women that
mm.
we're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I just always have to remind myself like, okay, it's the process because that's exactly what I went through, and I didn't wanna go through it because I was so convinced, like, chemo's gonna kill me, but I didn't trust God, and then the God that I believed in at that time was not God and Jesus. Like, it was a whole different one,
Mm,
you know? Um,
mhm.
and
I have
about
a
sharing your s
question.
Oh, go ahead.
How are you feeling now? I didn't mean to cut you off. I wanted to make sure
Oh,
we
no, that's
answered your
fine.
question.
Oh, I'm doing wonderful, and I'm feeling great. Um, ya me repuse. I was very thin at one point, pero ya me
You
repuse
were,
and estoy
yeah.
bien sanita, so praise God for that.
Praise God. Hey, yeah. You're glowing. That's what I see different. You are glowing. There's a glow now from when last time I saw you in 2019 or whatever year that was. And yeah, I followed you and we keep in touch through social media, but you definitely are glowing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hmm.
So just one thing I wanted to add about sharing your story. Um, so somebody mentioned, they said your story can be the key to somebody's prison.
Hmm.
And that's
Hmm.
just so powerful. And so,
Mm,
like, sharing your story and what you're going through is gonna help somebody else in the process. And I just,
yeah.
that's sometimes I do have moments where I'm like, I get shy. And of course, the enemy attacks and he starts throwing insecurities at you. But it's like, no, 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 no. This is not about you. This is about giving God the glory. And also, it's about the women that you're serving. It really has
Mhm,
nothing to do with you. God is just,
mhm,
showing out through your story.
mhm,
And so,
mhm.
I'm also
Yeah.
like I'm a believer. I love Jesus, but I am not perfect. I still go through my things. So yes. So la mera mera said, very Mexican, estás muy repuesta. Exactly. Ay, muy sanita. Let's call it that.
I love that. Thank you, La Mera. She's awesome. La Mera's part of our membership community. So she's always too much fun. So I love that your story, I really I'm like trying to as you're talking, like, how can I make it to your event on Friday? I'm trying to hear trying to figure out in my mind what do I need to do to make that happen, right? Because I know that the group of women that you connect to they're a really good group of women, a lot of great ladies. So if anyone's watching, I do definitely highly recommend attending her event, purposeingrace.org/event. Go register. It's on Friday, right? This Friday.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah, so I'm definitely gonna attempt to try to be there and support because it's important to always connect with other ladies and be in community with other women. So I really appreciate your story. I really appreciate your transparency. And I really appreciate just coming on here and waking up early in the morning for me. I know it was like I was like, Jennifer, I'm only getting up for you. I'm like, okay, thanks. Like but you know what? I'm excited. So I'll be sharing when everyone that's watching or watching the replay, when she has her next event that I'm gonna be part of, I'll make sure to blast that so people know to I am blessed tour, correct? That's I
Mhm.
am is it I am blessed tour or just I am blessed tour?
No, it's I Am Blessed tour, and it's on May 21st, so it's a Saturday, and we start at 9 a.m., but it's okay, you can come in your PJs. We've had women do that. It's a no judgment zone, so don't worry about that camera on or off. We just wanna help you fill your cup, inspire you, and, uplift you.
Nice, nice. So I'm making sure I'm putting this on my calendar too before I forget. So let me put it on my calendar and not do anything that day. But yeah, so super excited. Follow Tiana. Check her out. You will be blessed. And then, again, Tiana, I really appreciate you coming here and
Thank
sharing your
you.
story. It's really amazing. And the ladies, I'm sure they're gonna love you. So let's continue to pray for you and pray that God will continue to manifest through you, right? And continue to help people through you. So I really, really, really am excited. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, and for those that are watching, remember we still have open enrollment. If you want to be a member of our community, to get the accountability, to get the resources, connections, workshops. We are still opening right now. We're still enrolling. I'm gonna do a challenge this week in our private group. This is the information. If you want to become a member, it's bit.ly/wise member so you can learn more. And of course, we do run every Sunday morning. Yes, 7 a.m. Yes, it's early. So for those that want to come join us, we will have a 5K on June 26th. I'm not going to announce it yet, but yeah, I'm going to announce it soon. I got some great news around the running group. So I will be announcing that soon. Yes. So thank you again, Tiana. I really
Thank
appreciate
you,
you.
Jennifer. I appreciate you.
All right. God bless everyone. You guys have a great rest of your week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.